So, women and emotions. Yep, that's the hot button. Make that women entrepreneur and emotions. Now we're talking. So, today, Dortha and I are going to speak about and have a conversation that normally is not had. And that is building emotional resilience and the dark side of entrepreneurship beyond business stressors and challenges. And I think we need to talk about that. And
Yeah.
I have questions. Whether this is a woman, man, is it cultural, is it demographic? Like what the heck is going on?
Yeah. I
Right?
also wonder if it's service-based. I wonder if the service-based industries
Yes.
suffer it more than some of the other areas. I
And I
I
think
also
that,
have questions.
yes, and I think that so this is a show for you, audience and friends, for you guys to give us the answers. We
That's right.
certainly have the questions. Because entrepreneurship carries invisible stories, right? Some
Mhm.
are stories of perseverance, some are stories of sacrifice, and some are stories of extraordinary challenge. But the part that becomes really difficult, is when people say, oh, it's not personal, it's business. And they give themselves a license to just be freaking rude
Mhm.
and to be entitled and to disregard professionalism and confuse a friendly client service provider relationship into something that has no boundaries, has no bounds. Have you
Yeah.
ever experienced something like that?
If you're asking me personally, or are you asking the audience?
No, I'm asking you, Dortha. I
Oh
cannot
my
quite
gosh.
hear them this
Uh,
second.
so many times this has happened to me. I mean, I've been in business for 22 years. And yeah, I think especially early on in my career, I really didn't know where the line was, right? I didn't know that I could say, "Hey, this is not okay." Just because you're paying me does not mean that you get to be a jerk to me. And
Especially
like,
in a professional setting of
yeah,
professional
you're
services. Like,
hiring
what
me
the
for
heck?
yes, you're hiring me for services that we have outlined. We have an agreement, we have a contract, whatever the case may be. And over the years, Carolina, I actually built in a clause to my agreement that is basically like an anti-bullying clause. And if I feel that you are in violation of that, I will send you a note and say, good riddance, au revoir. It's not me, it's you.
I love that. Yes, it is you.
Yeah,
That is
seriously,
the
take a
title of
look.
our next book.
Yes, it's you.
Yes,
But
it
yeah,
is you.
like to your point, it's
Goodness.
interesting because as we were having like kind of our pre-show conversation getting primed for this conversation, it really did kind of call some things up for me about over the years, A, what I've been willing to tolerate, but B, where it is that people kind of feel they can get off, if you will, like treating people like that. It's like, holy cow, do you treat your spouse or your kids like this at home? I
Probably.
certainly hope not, but I think they
But I
do.
think you do. I don't think this is isolated behavior.
Nope.
I don't think you're a respectful, world citizen,
Yeah.
between 5 and 9 and then turn into a tyrant 9 to 5. I don't think so. And you know what? Mindy, our colleague Mindy, has a famous quote, which I love, that, women are often told, like, you got to be authentic. You got to be authentic. But you know what? If you're an a-hole authentically, don't show up like that. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, we don't need your authenticity if it
That's right.
means that, or even treating others like you treat yourself. Just because you're not very nice to yourself doesn't mean that you have a license to not be nice to others.
Yeah.
Especially, and here's the part where I have a bit of an issue. I got issues. Is that when it comes to professional services, and especially IT and a lot of the digital work, right? And the same really all professional services. Most of the clients do not understand or have the proficiency to do the task at hand,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
when you hire an accountant, you normally would not know how to do your own taxes, right?
Yep.
Most of the time, not always, but most of the
Yep.
time. Same with lawyers, same with, all professional, careers, right? But digitally, just because you're able to leverage technology or just because you're able to, not have to, I don't know, retype a document on a typewriter and use technology to get it fixed, faster, doesn't mean that the value that you have provided is not worth the fee you're charging, right?
Mhm.
So to be questioned, I'm not saying that accountability is not a core value of any successful relationship, but so is respect.
Mhm.
And I find, and I don't know if this is a women thing. I don't know if it is, I don't know, an entrepreneurial thing. I know in corporate, I had a weird experience where I had a very successful relationship with leadership when I was in the C-suite, and then I made partner, and it all went to hell, right? It's like we were great at dating, bad at marriage. Like the
Yeah.
attitude, just all of a sudden there was like no need to comply with HR, right? Like it was just surreal, right? Like and it changed overnight. And it's the same I find with clients. And I wonder if it is, if the clients experience that from us, right?
Mm.
That whatever's going on in their lives, they take it out on you, right? They take it
Yeah.
out on the freelancer. That,
Mhm.
remember, these are not employees.
Right.
These are
Contractors. Yep.
independent contractors. They're
Mhm.
business people.
That's right. And I've had clients over the years blur that line, and I've had to call that into check as well. Where in California, especially in the United States, it's different everywhere. So I'm not speaking broad strokes
Mhm.
here, but when you treat a contractor as an employee, there are different expectations there, and you have to be really careful because
Oh,
if you are treating someone as an employee, that relationship change
the tax
can
and the
yeah,
liability.
all the
Yeah.
implications that come with it. So
Mm.
it's really interesting that sometimes, that line can get blurred. And so it's really hard and it puts a lot of onus on the service provider, right? Because now
Yeah.
we're having to like wear the HR hat and we've got to wear the hat of compliance and
Yeah.
and do our specialty of like what the person hired us for. It's like, can you just not do some good humaning in the world and like not be an a-hole? Like
Yeah. And you know what? I wonder, and I reflect on these a lot, and I have been pointed out through constructive criticism, that the role that I have played in the past, when it came to entitlement, right? And you and I have collaborated for, goodness, like 5 years or
yeah.
more. And when it feels like more in a good way. It feels like we've been at this for like ever. Anyway,
Yes.
um, what I find is that I get excited, right? And I will do more. I will do above and because I get excited, like we can do
Yeah.
technology, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, or,
Right.
and especially because you and I are always learning. So a lot of times we will use the client file to test new things
Yeah.
for free, right? As a
Yeah.
pilot. And then that becomes the expectation,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Then you get tired, or because we get tired, and yeah, shocker, especially if you're a creative, right? And then you go back to deliverables because you're contractually bound, right? You
Right.
just go down to deliverables, and then it's like, what do you mean we're not publishing 20 magazines a year? Like, where is my, meanwhile, your fees haven't gone up,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
You're
And
still delivering what you said you would deliver. You're just not delivering the extras that were
that's right.
perks,
And
right?
I was told, like, you need to tell people, okay, this one is a one time above and beyond. Like, you need to do a better, like, to me, right? In my
Mhm.
case,
Mhm.
I needed to do a better job, you know, outlining when it was a freebie, you know. But on the other hand, it felt like nickel and diming, right? But then when you go back to when there's a little bit of grace expected to come your way,
Mm.
there's like none.
Yeah.
And I find, I don't know if I'm going to be totally harsh here, but I find women tougher in this in the entrepreneurial world than men,
Yeah.
at least from my experience, right?
Mhm.
And it could be simply because we're handling a lot more of the emotional portfolio
Yeah,
of our
I
lives,
mean,
right? Is
gosh.
that what's happening? Like, what the hell is happening?
No, I agree, and earlier this year, I was working with somebody who, I ended up completing my agreement with because I just was to this point of, like, where you were saying, I was just done. And what I sat and reflected, I journaled, right? I had to get really clear, like, is this actually when I go to them and say, "It's you, it's not me," is it something like, is there something that I've done in this whole arrangement? And what I really came to realize is that this person was using my services as a way of outsourcing, like, their entire nervous system to me, you know? And it
Ooh,
was like, okay, we really have to pump the brakes because that's not what I signed up for. But
yeah.
over time, it was almost like an abusive relationship where, like,
Yeah.
they sneak it in, right? And you were like, okay, well, all right, like, it's fine.
You
It's just
can get battered wife syndrome from your clients, right? And you
battered
know what
client
is
syndrome.
a battered client? Is that no? It's not the client. Battered service provider syndrome.
Battered
Yeah, you're not
SAAS.
battering the clients; they
That's
won't stick
right. Pardon
around,
me.
right?
I misspoke.
But we're not complaining. We're simply saying
Stating the
we
fact.
don't. No, we don't talk about it. Like,
Right. It gets
when we
swept under
speak
the
about
carpet.
emotions, so there's two things that I find we don't speak about enough. One is the emotions, the boundaries,
Mhm.
and second is what is our role, because in life you don't get what you deserve, you get what you accept.
Yes.
So are we the women, I don't know if men have this, like, if men have this problem, please let us know, like,
We would love to hear.
let us know, right?
Mhm.
Because I've also read studies that say that entrepreneurship is a little bit kinder on men because emotionally or hormonally their cycle is stable. They don't have up and downs, right? Like,
Mm.
as much. And again, I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm not like, I don't know, we need to have somebody that knows hormones.
We do.
We have so
Mhm.
many of our mentor experts that specialize in this. Why are we having this conversation without them? But the hormones of entrepreneurship coming to you
That's the next
in
one.
the
Mhm.
very near future.
Yeah.
So apparently, men have a more stable hormonal life. Of course, they do. And
Mhm.
in women, we all know we are cyclical. That is how we're wired. That is by design. And so entrepreneurship is a little bit harder
Mm.
because we still show up every day, but our energy, our hormones, our entire nervous system, our entire wiring doesn't show up equally every day,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
and again, I'm not making excuses for the client or for us. I'm just saying it seems to be a fact.
Right.
And so I'm willing to take that into consideration, right?
Mhm.
And I'm also take willing to take into the consideration taking the responsibility of establishing patterns, right? To
Right.
nip it in the
Yeah.
bud and to have very strict boundaries. Because I get people emailing me and texting me at 10, 11 o'clock at night. You and I do it.
Yep.
But you know what? We're also friends.
Right.
So I don't think twice of,
Yeah.
answering. You and I do it all the time. Like, I'm stuck on this. Like, can you help me? Right? And it's a
Yeah.
Saturday, a Sunday, and if you answer, great. If you don't, I understand.
Great.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't feel that it's an imposition. Right?
Correct. But there comes a weight with it when a client does it because there's that contractual agreement. And y- I've had to sit and wonder sometimes, like, did this person seriously send me a text at, like, 3 in the morning or whatever? Like, knowing that I get up at 4 in the morning, like, that I would see it,
Mhm.
right? And then, like, they want it to be a priority, but then when you talk to them, like, "Oh, don't worry, I sent that to you because I was thinking about it. I didn't mean
Now,
it for you."
one of my colleagues and friend, you see, that's the problem, right? He's like, this is a parent. Can you be friends with your children? It's like, can as a service provider be friends with your clients?
Yeah, it's a great question.
And then where are the boundaries, right? Because one of an esteemed colleague and somebody I respect greatly, and I hope you're watching, um, is she has at the bottom of her email, like, like something like, beware that our working hours may differ, as even our time zones.
Yeah,
So please answer at your convenience,
I love that. Well,
right?
you've seen,
And
like, my autoresponder on my
yes, yeah,
email, right? Those are
yes.
some of the boundary impositions that I've had to get a lot more kind of forceful with, and I feel part of it for me that I noticed the shift was during the pandemic. I
Hmm.
feel like people getting online completely really, kind of opened a door of availability, if you will, for
Hmm.
people to always be on, and
Now,
especially in the entrepreneurial world. Go
do
ahead.
you feel it like rhymes with itchy when you do that?
Which part? When I do what?
When you set boundaries
Oh my gosh, yeah, heck yeah.
in you know what I mean? And you're
Yes,
like, you know what? It's Sunday afternoon. I see it. I'm not answering until Monday
Monday
during
morning.
office hours.
Although I will tell you, I
Yes.
have responded to things and scheduled them so that it's out of my brain, because when I see it, then it's in the back of my head and I don't want it taking up real estate in my
Mm,
brain. So
okay.
I'm like, I'll type a response, either on my phone, or I'll go into my office if I'm available at home, and I'll respond and then schedule it for the next morning, because then it's not living rent free in my head.
Yeah. And we had a great episode with one of our newest mentor experts here in Toronto. And she's a therapist, plugging for Karen Ritz. I totally mispronounced her last name. I just realized that. Kurtz. Anyways, so watch the episode. It's about more a non-death grieving. So how you grieve non-death things, right? Like losing
Mhm.
a client, for example, right?
Yep.
And then you really have to stop and think, especially if it's a difficult relationship. Are you missing the client or are you missing the revenue, right?
Yeah.
Like, really, because you cannot possibly be missing the abuse and the disregard for the worth that you bring, or disregard for the value of the services
Yeah.
that you are providing. And which,
Yep.
if they question, they ought to shop around, like
Yeah.
shop it around, because I know I am not the first person to be your service provider on this topic, right?
Right.
So, check the pattern, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and I think that that's also an interesting thing you just brought up about, I talked about that in my first book on grief, around, like, losing a client or losing, a business partner, something like that it's a loss. And it's something that you have to go through a process of. And it's been such a long time for me that I've had that happen so deeply, that earlier this year when this happened, I did go through, like, a grieving cycle. And there's, like, a couple of months there where I was like, am I okay? Like, is it like, really
Mm,
had to kind of check in with myself, because I was like, gosh, I was really dealing with a lot with that particular person, and kind of just checking in with myself with existing clients. Like, okay, are things good here? And then, it just kind of makes you question. everything kind of everywhere. So it's an interesting thing when
Can
it
a
happens.
people pleaser be an entrepreneur?
It's a great question.
Right? Like, because there is some kind of fact to business.
Yep.
Of course there is, right?
Yeah, naturally.
And we men and women are wired differently. Yes, we are within a spectrum. So, one end of one spectrum can match the other. It's not 100% gender. But one of the things that I really admire about, you know, men entrepreneurs that I know is that ability that, what? It's business. It's not which is different than it's not personal, it's business. That's
Mm,
just, trying to find a workaround being you fill in the blank. Um, but, to be a lot more grounded and a lot more factual,
mhm,
right? And not but even in the nature of the enterprise, a lot of the entrepreneurs that I meet that are women are enterprises that began based on a passion or a cause,
mhm.
right? Like, if think of someone who, God forbid, had a child with a challenge, and they recognize a gap in in either the supply chain or culturally or anything like that, and they will often start their own business right out of
Yeah,
it because they
yeah.
realize there's other people like it
Mhm.
that that have the same need, that have the same unmet need,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And that is true for the passion and social impact, social justice enterprises. But when you're doing AI work, it's different, right? Like, you may identify the gap, but it's not necessarily a social justice, social impact most of the time, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's when is it okay to really set your foot down and set your boundaries? Is like, now that we invoice electronically, we don't have the back of the invoice with the terms and conditions, right? Like,
Yeah.
and do we enter into these conversations at the beginning of the engagement, right?
Yeah, I mean, setting expectations, right? I think that's one of the things that I like to set with clients, and maybe this is part of it, right? I always like to say, it takes me this long to respond to emails. It's like when you
Mhm.
send me a project, it's going to be turned around in this amount of time for the first, QC or
And be
whatever.
honest, like,
Yeah.
and again, I understand that is an eccentricity, that is a luxury that I'm able to have, and I am grateful for the people that work with me that honor it. Is that, say that we have a book scheduled to launch, at a certain time. If it doesn't feel right, like, I will miss the deadline.
Mhm.
It just doesn't feel, either the topic, the subject, the timing, because culturally you can become tone deaf in seconds,
Right.
right? Because of a major event, right?
Yep. That's right.
So I think, from that perspective, I know my clients know that I always, because we co-brand, so I always have our best interest at heart,
Yeah.
right? um so that is one thing that, I don't know, I just really, I feel, see, I'm speaking of feelings when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I feel there's not enough respect. um there's not enough respect when it comes to thought leaders, into, because if it is a product, right, it's a set price, it's a set fix. Is if it is either works or it doesn't. It either
Mm.
solves the problem or it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
If you're selling, like, whatever, I was gonna say radios, but I was gonna date myself. Like, if you're selling a phone, you're selling a phone, it works or it doesn't, right? If it's poopy, it's the phone. It's not you.
Right.
It's like, but when you're a service provider, it's you. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? You are the brand, you are the product, you are the deliverable. Like you're able to
Mhm.
crystallize it, especially digitally. But still, like, if you're not a creative, you do not know what goes behind a successful creative endeavor and how long it takes or what technology you use, or that you're also working on other files. Like, you aren't, unless you're paying for like 24/7, whatever,
Concierge service.
concierge, white glove, first class. Okay, then we're having a different conversation, right?
That's right.
But
Yep.
even then, respect applies. There's a bank here in Canada, the green one, and you guys eh, by now know the
Locals
joke
get
of
it.
locals get it, the green one, that has signs all over the place, like we bank on respect. It's like, I love it, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure their tellers go through, sometimes under stress, less than gracious exchanges. But
Yeah.
stress and whatever you're going through does not give a license to be disrespectful. Sorry,
No.
you know?
And the same applies in entrepreneurship, and I think you're pulling that thread through, is that it doesn't matter what's going on at home for me or what's going on at home for you. When we show up in this space to co-create whatever it is we're working on, I see you, you see me, and here we are as two human beings coming together in this agreement that we've signed and agreed to work under.
Mhm.
And whatever happened at home, and whatever happened at home, and we leave it there,
Yeah.
right? And I think exactly to your point, like it's a respect thing. We don't carry our baggage into our meetings, and I don't think, we don't see that in the corporate world so much. Like people are very able to compartmentalize and leave home at home and work at work,
Yeah.
and I think
Most of
that's
the
the
time. Yeah.
most of the time. Yes, and I mean, sure, cataclysmic events happen and
Yeah.
spillover happens, right? And I think that's one of the nice things about entrepreneurship, and I think the lesson I'm leaning toward here is that when your service provider opens the door of, it's not necessarily friendship, but it's like, hey, like what's going on in your life, or hey, how are you, or oh gosh, I'm so sorry to hear your so and so died, or you're getting a divorce, or like whatever it is,
Mhm.
and that isn't like a door opening to a therapy session, right?
Mm.
It's a compassion and a humanity thing, and there's a time and place for deeper conversation about that, but it doesn't belong in the container or the vegetable of the work thing that
Yeah.
you're working on.
Did you just say vegetable?
Vestibule,
Oh, vegetable.
vestibule, vestibule,
I was struggling and I'm going like,
Vestibule.
she's good. She's good. Wait a minute. There's a vegetable.
What kind of vegetable?
And it's me. I am the turnip that just fell off the truck. Oi. You know what is tough. It's tough because
It
the
is.
summer's slow. Entrepreneurship is hard. There's
Yeah.
easier ways to make money than entrepreneurship. Of course, it's rewarding. Otherwise, why the heck wouldn't we do it, right?
Yeah.
Um, but is taking that responsibility and valuing yourself, right?
Yeah.
More than when you can afford it, the revenue. And even if you cannot afford to cut ties immediately, begin to plan the exit.
Yeah.
Begin to plan the exit,
Yep.
right? And Mel Robbins, like, let them and
Hmm.
let me,
Yep.
right? And super important. So whatever you're going through during the slow months and during the stress, right? Stress of the market, stress of social political issues, know that it's not okay to take it out on people, and
Yeah.
especially people that are trying to help you be better and do better, and you don't know what they're going through,
That's right.
right? Maybe service gone down, so instead of ripping on them, just ask them,
That's right.
is
That's
everything okay, right? And within courtesy, like, or how can I help,
Yeah.
like whatever, right? Just acknowledge that you've noticed a change
Yep.
and have the conversation. What is this about? And it goes
Mhm.
both ways,
That's right.
right? But neither has to accept disrespect and a breach of boundaries. So,
That's right. Yeah. I have, that's part of my creed. I have a personal creed, and the
okay.
number 6 on that list is remember that everyone is carrying something, lead with compassion, and respond
Mm.
with kindness.
Ooh. Is your creed public? Is it on your website?
Not yet. I just finished it, and I have it. It's got like some great imagery. I'm looking at it on my second
Okay.
screen here, and I'm like, I love
I
it.
would love to find out the other parts on your.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so we share. No, that's so we're in the know and you're not. Because that should not add to anyone's neurosis. So,
That's right. That's right.
anyways, you know what? These are the parts of entrepreneurship that are not necessary. There's enough stress that comes with it that, all of the extras that we take on, we need to have the courage to go, no, no, this is bus driver, this is my stop.
That's right.
And have the courage to do that. Your future self will thank you.
I feel like this topic ought to be something that we revisit regularly because I think it's an important one, and I feel like we only kind of scratched the surface of the iceberg, with the big, massive quantity of ice below the surface. I feel
Yeah.
like it's an important one.
And I would love to have one of our gentlemen mentor experts
I
join
would love
us
that.
to
That
hear
would be
their
great.
perspectives. So,
And then we can get
and
the therapist as well, because I
ooh,
think the psychological
Karen,
piece
yeah.
is
Oh, that is a
that would
date. Yes, I'll reach out to her right away. So,
sounds
thank
good.
you, everybody. Thanks for listening to us. This is an important topic. So,
Yeah.
hope you're having a great summer. Until
Bye.
next time. Bye.